And welcome to another edition of Behind the Gate with Scott and Kate. I'm your co-host, Scott Waddell, along with my co-host, Caitlin Wesley, and this is episode 17 of our podcast. And I'd like to thank our sponsors, 12 Company Fire and Command, for their sponsorship. And tonight we're going to go to Western Canada, but with the maritime connection. So we'll talk to a driver that we have coming up that's competing in the Western Canada regionals coming up shortly, and just go through some of his stats. He had his best year, actually, last year, career wins of 293 last year, $2.2 million in earnings. He's got 2,700 wins almost for his career, and he's gone over 17 million in purse money. So not bad for this fella. And he's got a lifetime driving average too, which is great at 321. So I'm going to pass it over to my co-host, Caitlin Wesley, and she's going to introduce our guest tonight.
Yeah, thanks, Scott. I'm excited to introduce Brandon Campbell. He's a maritimer in blood, and he's out west driving and training his own stable. So welcome aboard, Brandon, and I'm excited to get to know more about you.
Yeah, thank you so much. Thanks for having me.
So Brandon, you're a native maritimer. Tell us about your early years in the Maritimes and what made you make the move to Western Canada.
Okay, so this is a misconception, unfortunately.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, a lot of people think I was born in the Maritimes. I was born in Calgary, actually.
Oh, okay.
My entire family is from PEI, and my mother's from Halifax.
Okay.
My mother currently lives in Halifax with I have two sisters that live out there, just outside Halifax. Yeah. And just the family from PEI that spread out everywhere. Like, my uncles and my cousins, they spread out over Maine. Obviously, everybody knows them. Drew, Heath,
yeah.
Uncle was Buddy and Soupy Campbell, right? Everybody knows them.
Yeah.
But yeah, so Dad and Mom, they moved out in '82, and they had me in '83. And everybody thinks, but I'm just maritime blood. That's all I am. I wasn't foaled in the Maritimes, unfortunately.
You get home once in a while. I think you've been down for some old home weeks over in Red Shores and have picked up some catch drives over there through the years.
Yeah, I've come home a couple times, and the Polton Barn give me some drives back in the day, and last time I was out, I got a chance to drive in the eliminations for oh my God, brain fog right now.
Gold Cup.
Yeah. What? The Gold Cup. I can't remember the young fellow that put me up though.
Okay.
Chris, not a young fellow, Chris and his son. I am so sorry. I apologize. I can't bring names in my head right now. Too many people I meet in my life. Anyways, so I did that, and that was a lot of fun. But the funnest is the driver's challenges. I think I've been home for 2 or 3 finals in PEI. I think maybe it was 2, but PEI puts on the best finals. Like, I win the one in Western Fair years ago, but PEIs were way better. Like, you guys, Red Shores puts on a show, man, and they make you feel like $1 million. It was fun. It was really fun when it was at Charlottetown.
That's awesome.
Lee Drake and the crew, they put on a fabulous job over there, and I love when they get to host the final like they did when James McDonald won the World Championship right on PEI soil. So kudos to them. They do it year after year and usually are the hosts of it here in the Maritimes. And anyway, we might as well kind of get into that subject, Brandon. You do have scheduled the Western regionals coming up. And before we came on camera, unfortunately, you had a little bit of news that unfortunately, you might be sidelined, but right now you think you're about 50-50.
Yeah, I'm just looking so I herniated 3 of my discs in my back, which just kind of painful. I was in the
Yeah.
hospital a few days last week. I haven't been on a jog cart or the race bike since. I raced a couple horses this week, and I just put other fellows up. And I got a doctor's appointment first thing tomorrow morning, and then I have to see some specialists, some surgeons. But I'm not 100% sure what's safe for me to do because they put a block in my back. They blocked some of the nerves out while I was in the hospital. So it's still painful, but it's not horrendous like it was before. So I'm just not sure what's safe to do. So I'll know more when I see the doctors. And then, I mean, if it's not good news, I'll be contacting Stanford Canada, and I might have to opt out. I hope that's not the case. But you know what? If it is, it doesn't upset me anymore because I've been there and done that a lot of times, and it gives somebody else an opportunity.
Yeah,
Awesome.
for sure. And hopefully, like you say, you're hoping you're about 50-50. So we hope that you get a good report and can compete. So you've competed in, like you said, the regionals before. Who are some of the toughest drivers out there that you face, Brandon?
You know what? Right now, Mike Hennessy's been on a real roll. He didn't have a hot weekend this weekend, but Mike Hennessy's my best friend, so I support him, obviously. He's been doing really fantastic. And the other guys, Phil's always in the mix. Dave Kelly's always in the mix. Dave can drive a horse really well, too. I put Dave in the case of going to get there. He's a talented young man, but he's still learning. He'll get there. He's a talented kid. I like driving against him. So, and with him, So, it's hard to say. It's like every driver has their day. Some days, some guys. One day Phil's hot. One day Dave's hot.
Yeah.
One day Mike's hot. So I mean, some days they're talented dudes, but it depends if it's all firing that day, and it goes like that for me too. You just want to be the guy that's firing more often than not,
Yeah,
Absolutely.
you're fortunate. You've got some great drivers out your way, and it's kind of like the Red Shores driving colony over there. Usually it's one guy one night, and, it's Campbell one night, Hughes one night, David Dowling and that crew over there. So they've got a great driving colony. So, Kate, I think you've got some questions on a couple of horses that Brandon has in a stable.
Yeah, I've looked at your stats, and there's a couple horses that really stick out to me. So I just kind of want to touch base on them as they're pretty interesting, even just to go through the stats over the time that you've had them. So the first one is Cheese Whiz. Love the name, first of all. Wicked. That mare was claimed at the beginning of 2023. She showed good trips, showed that she could, she had the speed and it was there. What were your thoughts and expectations when she was claimed?
You know what? I was really excited to get the mare. And the first time I sat behind her, I was like, oh no.
Uh-oh.
Believe it or not, her stats looked good. And she was always in the money. But she was the type of horse that I didn't get along with. I do not like a horse that is one-speeded and grinds, and you gotta just push, and they grind, and you push. She never grabbed the bit. And you always had to ask, like she could never. She just wasn't my kind of horse. Some people like those horses where they can just chase and they keep going. I'm not that kind of guy. I like to feel what I have in my hands, and she wasn't that kind of horse, so I was actually happy when she got claimed. Believe it or not. Sometimes, even though, she was probably holding her own and making me some money,
right?
I didn't get along with her. She wasn't my kind of horse. And she looks good on paper.
Yeah, and that's what I was just gonna say. She looks so good, and that's why she caught my eye. She looked so good on paper, and it was like, oh, really? And that's fun. That's how stats are. Like, stats can make a horse look so good on paper, but really, what is it? What's the horse actually like on that track when it races? Like, is it a gun-ho horse that you can move here and there, or is it a horse, like you said, has to be chased the whole mile just to keep, interested, keep going? And it's interesting listening to drivers talk about horses like that, because it's like, oh, your stats might not be what we actually think she is, but interesting.
Yeah. And I know you're going to mention another one here, and I'm going to tell you a story about him too. He's something.
Is it Outlaw Stormy Weather, or is it? Oh no, it's my other one. My other one that I left for last.
Yeah, it's the one for last. Stormy Weather.
Yeah.
You're going to ask about her.
Yeah, like
she's an absolute sweetheart. I love her to death. She is one of those horses that she's got really bad feet on her up front, but she's got a heart on her this big. So I bought her as a private purchase last year, and it's just really worked out. We were able to get her out to the farm and work with the blacksmith and change things up and do some different things. She races actually in a Theraflex pad with just half a shoe. My phone keeps falling here. And we as long as her heels don't touch the ground, she's an incredible little mare. She just tries her heart out. We bought her for 10,000. She finished her first start the other day. She finished second, going for 15. Start before that, I believe she win for 15 or was second. Close, anyways. She's been really, really consistent. She's a great little mare. And that's all we've done with her is just worked on her feet. So,
oh wow!
And she's the kind of mare that's kind of really fun to drive in a way. Like as soon as you put her on the gate, it's go time. Like you cannot stop her from leaving.
Wow.
Every single week she leaves, but it's good. She has really fast gate speed and she gets you into a spot. Like you're able to circle the whole field really quick and then shut her down and somebody can come and then she follows the trip with 2 fingers. But you can't stop her off the gate. And she's just a little mare. She's a lot of fun, actually.
That's awesome. My last horse, and this horse, I am telling you, it had me in chills looking at its stats. Like from day one that you've had this horse, it has shown so much potential, and it's Virtual Horizon. Like you gave it a new lifetime mark of 53 and 2. It was top 2 and 3-year-old in stakes. Like tell us about this horse, because I know looking at the stats, I was quite interested in this one.
It's funny because this little horse he trained down, and he was a very, very ignorant little horse. Really? He was training down with, training down in pairs of 3s, pairs of 2s all the time. And if a horse would move on him, he would take off. And if you try to stop him, his head was in the air and he would throw himself. He fought every piece of equipment I put on him. And he drove me mad. For the longest time, I didn't have a lot of thought about him. Like right off the bat, we nicknamed him Slick because he had a really great gait to him. But he was an asshole. Or can I say that? That's what he was.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's what he was. And actually, Dave Kelly qualified for me because I thought he was about second, third string, and I qualified a colt that was training down good, and they switched. The one that trained down good didn't have the heart, you know what I mean? And this guy, as we got going speed, and he was able to settle down a little bit as they were going fast, he just turned into a fast little animal. Like you would leave those earplugs for last, and if you could leave those till the head of the lane, you pull them, and even though he felt like he was done, there would be another gear there, and he would take off every single time. So he was a big surprise actually, and really enjoyed him. Last year, the only thing, he didn't race a lot of tough colts last year, and I wish that there would have been a little bit more speed that he would have been able to follow, because he would get to the front every week just to keep him out of trouble. And he'd kind of sit on me a little bit, and he'd wait for a horse to come, and I'd ask, and he didn't care about what I did. And a horse would come, and he'd just speed up and take off again, and I would just leave those earplugs for the end. And when I pulled them, that was that last gear that I needed. Yeah. And I thought I was beat just about every time last year. Like there's so many times I thought I was beat, and he would see that horse, and he would just not let a horse go by. He didn't need a driver. He needed a bag of oats sitting on him. That's what he needed. He could do it all on his own. And we unfortunately we sold him to the Wayne Kellogg stable in New York, and he won his first start in Meadowlands this year, but then he's kind of tailed off a little bit. I'm a little bit disappointed in him. Like, I know there's more to him, and I'm hoping they're backing off and resetting him, because I was really high on this colt. Like, he was very, very similar to Shark Week, and I'm sure you guys have seen that horse and heard stories about him.
Oh,
They
yeah.
were like identical. Everything that they did, they have the same sire, the way they act, the way they race. And this colt, he was still small, just starting to fill in. So I was excited about this year. I wasn't going to sell them, but they were pretty adamant, and they met the price. That I said, well, if I was going to sell them, I'm going to sell them for X amount of dollars. And they said, no problem. I was like, well, okay then. So, but it's unfortunate, because I was excited to race him this year, but that's part of the business, I guess, right? But
Exactly.
he's got a big future ahead of him, I hope, and I would really like to see him do big things down in the States.
Yeah, no, that's awesome. Who are some of the leading sires out your way, Brandon?
So last year it's been Vertical Horizon, who's funny because he stood here for many, many years, and all of a sudden, like, he's thrown some nice horses, but last year he was very dominant, and mainly before that it's been Custer the Dragon. So those are like the top ones. Custer the Dragon was crushing for the last probably 4 or 5 years, and I don't know what it was. All of a sudden, the Vertical Horizons last year really stepped it up, and they were powerful. They were good. So hope to see more of them. There wasn't many at the sale this year.
We've had a few around here go through our sale, and I know there's at Truro. I do believe there's 2 Vertical Horizons, actually 3. One racehorse, Horizon, and then there's a 3-year-old and a 2-year-old here, and they're pretty high on them as well. And there's been Custer the Dragons, and it's like, it's so funny how cool it's like they've all started to shift today. So
I think we got a couple of malicious out our way. So
oh wow,
yeah,
awesome.
yeah. Between Bill Andrews always used to flip a couple back and forth, right? He used to kind of switch them up and stuff. So he's still here. So you never know how involved Bill's going to be.
Exactly.
Yeah, no, he's done a lot for the game, both for Atlantic Canada and out west. He's done a lot for sure. So just to stay on the track topic, when you're out there, what kind of runs through your head when you're heading out from the paddock to the racetrack? You've looked at the program, Brandon, probably, and you know the horse that you're driving, if it's a catch drive or if it's your own horse. What kind of drives that competitiveness when you hit the racetrack behind one?
Honestly, when I'm having a good time.
Yeah.
When I'm having a good time, I'm very dangerous. Unfortunately, it's just one of those things. And when I'm not, I think that goes with every driver, to be honest. I mean, I think the horses can feel your energy, and the more confidence you have, and the better you're feeling and confident you're feeling about your horse, the better chance you have. If you're going out there feeling like you ain't got a chance, I think they feel that. That's my opinion.
Yeah.
But there's not a lot that rolls through my head. I mean, I read the program different than a gambler. Like yesterday, I was doing the show for at home. I wasn't driving, so they asked me to come up and do the picks.
Oh,
so
okay.
I did the show, and it's difficult for me because I don't gamble, and I read the program different than the gambler does. I'm not looking for the guy who's going to finish first at the end. I'm looking for who's moving off the gate, what's the best position for me to be in, who I can use in the race, who I got to move early, or who do I got to, take some wind out of, or things like that. And a lot of the times now, when you get to know the horses and the drivers, I don't need to look at the program a whole lot. I just take a glance and I know what I got to do to what driver, to what horse to kind of screw their race up and make mine evolve. You know what I mean? So those are the kind of things that you can get that 40 to 1 shot to sit into third or second a lot of the times and stuff like that. Is just, you got to screw with your competition. Unfortunately, that's the name of the game.
Yeah. And you've driven on a lot of different size tracks and different tracks in Canada. What's kind of your favorite? Do you have a particular favorite?
I like the bigger tracks, to be honest.
Yeah. Yeah.
The half miles are fun when when
You got
they're
one
not.
that can leave.
They're not your horses, and you're not too worried about hurting them. You can just send them down the road all you want. The half miles for being aggressive, and
Yeah. Yeah.
and it's great for a driver, a catch driver. Especially a guy like me that can make a little speed, or those kind of drivers. But I
Yeah.
do find I got 40 horses now, and I find that my driving style is really starting to change a lot, because now I own part of this 30, 40, 50, $60,000 horse. I'm not
Yeah.
driving them the same. I'm not sailing them into the turns and rolling them down the highway to a half and 55 and hoping they're going to hold on anymore.
Yeah.
Tactics are changing a lot now that my investment is into that horse, and I don't want to hurt it. I want it to come back next week. So, there's a difference between being a catch driver and a horseman, right? And so that changes a little bit. So I do like the big track more so, because you're able to position yourself better and maybe come sprint at the end and squeeze your way through little spots. But I mean, if for a driver's challenges and things like that, and you're just out there to have a show, the half mile is fun. I'm not going to turn that down. For the Gold Cup and Saucer, and they're sailing for the Little Brown Jug, it's awesome. But I like the bigger tracks better for my barn. We'll put it that way.
And you had mentioned there just a minute ago something like you have 40 horses. Do you have that many horses?
Yeah, I got 30 training inside, and then I got 6, 7, 8 brood mares. I got 5 to full out. Actually, 4 now. I lost a mare and a baby this year, unfortunately. But so I got 1 more to full out. That'll make 4 foals this year, and then I got 7 to breed back for next year.
Wow.
Okay. We're in the process of that. So I'm in everything now. It's the way to be. Like, I'm looking at, we have breeders bonuses out here and stuff. So, the more horses I can get into circulation and the better mares I can get at some point in time, at the end of the year, there's some checks coming in from that. And if you're going to do it, do it. What I say.
Absolutely.
And it's kind of weird, because when I think of you, I kind of had that misconception, actually, that you were more of a catch driver and that type of thing, and never really knew that you did so much off the racetrack as well.
Yeah, actually, you know what? It's always busy. Like, we're involved in that. It's breeding season right now. I'm on our local board, our ASHA board. Plus, I'm on. So we have Alberta Standardbred Horse Association, which governs the harness horses, and then we have Harness Racing Alberta, which looks over the thoroughbreds and the harness. It kind of governs them both. It's the regulatory. I'm on a couple subcommittees for them. I got 2 little girls that don't stop, and just trying to keep up with horses. Life's busy, man. It's a lot, and
that's
awesome. A lot of people think that I'm just a catch driver, but I mean, I think we were this close to hitting 1 million last year in Alberta. We win a lot of stake races out of our barn, and we're gonna keep doing it. We're gonna win more. We're gonna be the big stake barn out here. That's awesome. Our goal.
So with your stable, do you have fractional ownerships, or is it, just a couple of your closest owners that, get in on these horses?
So, you know what? I've actually thought about fractional ownership, but I got too much work already. I have a couple owners that used to be with my father that moved down to me, and they've just been consistent and loyal. And I got a couple owners that I picked up years ago myself when I was a young man, and they've stuck with me all through all my craziness and everything. They've been with me, and they've been very loyal. And honestly, I don't need any more at the moment. I have people turning. I've actually been turning horses down left, right, and center. Like, it's just crazy.
Wow.
Yeah, we're kind of working. We're trying to get more to the quality aspect than the quantity, but we still have too many. So yeah, and we've actually had some struggles this year. We give our horses a break. I stopped. I think it was in December this year, just because I was getting worn down. We weren't racing many. We were just training a lot of colts, and we started up, and I got shut down right away because I actually had a horse we had to put down that had EVH1. So they shut us down for 21 days, and we just got started again. So it's been a little bit of a setback for us, but we're gonna bounce back.
Absolutely.
I got a good crew.
That's awesome. So speaking of that, when you have that many horses, Brandon, who's kind of in the background that helps you out every day and kind of does some of the work that some people may not see on the racetrack?
Well, you know what? I got really good people that help me out right now. First off, my better half, Jody, she organizes everything because I can't, right? And helps manage the staff and stuff like that. And she probably comes in and works 5-6 days a week, sometimes 4, just does things with the kids. I got a groom that I've had for about 3-4 years that runs ship. Her name's Emma. She's really good. My father helps me on the track, and John Baxter. They're both excellent horsemen. I mean, John Baxter, I think he went over 2,500 races, and my father wasn't the greatest driver, but you know what? He was a really good colt man, and he's taught me a lot. And he helps me with my colts and all my horses, so that helps a lot. And it's good to have opinions from other people, right? Obviously, even my mother helps us out. She comes in the morning every morning, and then she comes in, does waters and stalls for a few hours, and then she takes one of my kids and heads home. And it's really a family oriented business. And John Baxter's granddaughter, she works for me as well. So just lots of good people that have been in the business for a long time that know a lot, and they're instrumental towards everything, because there's no way in heck that I could ever do any of this myself, right? Having good people around you, I'll tell you what, that makes a difference. It makes a huge difference.
Absolutely. It sure does. I totally get it. I have a daughter that's almost 10 and is wanting to be so hands-on with her own horse, with our horses. So it's definitely a family business, more or less. So I totally understand that. With that being said, last but not least, what do you do outside of track life? Since you have a family, since you want to take a break from that track life, what do you guys do?
You know what? There's not a lot of getting away. My oldest daughter, she's probably the same age as yours. She's in soccer like 5 times a week. She is obsessed with it. She's got her own riding pony over at a riding center, and she does hunter jumping. My youngest daughter's into soccer, but it's not as often. So mainly, if we're not chasing soccer and riding lessons around shows and stuff, this winter I actually slowed down, not going to BC, and I took my daughters out ice fishing quite a few times. That's a big thing I like to do. And just normally we just hang out and play video games or play, like we're big into board games and stuff. Me and my daughters, it's just mostly hang out with my daughters. That's, if I get any time at all, that's what I do.
Awesome.
Yeah, that's awesome. And I'm gonna add one more in here, Brandon. Are you the type of driver that sets goals? Like, are you looking towards this season and trying to improve on previous years, or any specific goals that you're looking at?
Well, okay, normally I do. But this year, like I said, I took a break right at the beginning, and it's kind of weird. Like, I'm watching because, you look at the last few years, I'm in the running for most amount of wins this time of year and stuff like that, between BC and back in Alberta and stuff. But I was worn out and I took a break. So my goal this year is literally just focused on my colts and my stake horses. And like I said, with my injuries and stuff, I think I'm going to step back a little bit, and focus on me for the year and just try to get healthy. And I love driving. It's my number one favorite thing in this whole world. It's my favorite place to be is behind the gate. But the last few years have really kind of taken a toll on me. I think I got like 280 flights on my phone, and got through some really tough wrecks that I probably shouldn't have walked away from. And I just got up and grabbed the lines and did it again. So I'm probably just tired, it's going to be very hard to duplicate what I did the last 2 years, in all honesty. And the only reason I did it was to prove to myself that I could do it.
Yeah.
And that I've proved, like, I don't know where, I don't have nothing left to prove in that area to myself. And I think I'm maybe settling down a little bit. Training aspect, I really want to hit 1 million this year. Really want to hit 1 million, and just continue to win lots of stake races.
So have you got any horses that we should watch for this year that you're really hoping has a good season?
I have a 3-year-old colt named Gray Horizon, a vertical horizon colt.
Yeah.
He'll be a very, very good contender. And then I have a 2-year-old colt named Discontinued, who is a nephew to Shark, or no, you'd be an uncle to Shark Week. You'd be related to Snow Shark that Travis Cullen races at Woodbine, stuff like that. He's a custard dragon colt. He's the last one out of this mare, and I've never seen anything like it in my life. Like he's got to be like, it must be what these guys train horses like in Florida. Like, I don't know. We have Alberta breds and stuff out here, but this is what these animals must be like, because I just haven't had anything like him before. And I actually have a McWicked filly that's related to the Gray 3-year-old colt that's doing very well too. So and those are just ones that are like pure show-offs right now. I still have a lot of talented ones in the background that still might, evolve and turn into nice horses yet.
Now, are there some where you may be a little bit less active this year on the racetrack? Are there any catch drivers that you would be prone to use?
My first is Mike.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Mike's he's my blacksmith, and he's a catch driver, right? So I know his dad has good barns and he has priorities. So he usually goes over there. But I think he'll stick with me for some of my good colts that I have, right?
Yep.
And after that, I'd use a guy like Kelly Hort, because he's a safe bet, but he's usually got colts of his own too. Yeah. Dave Kelly's usually got colts of his own. So a guy like Phil Giesbrick. We have little Dougie Chappell coming. He's a little older now. He doesn't have a ton of experience, but the kid's got a great set of hands. He's related to Gary Chappell. He's John's son. So he's maritime related. Really, really good hands. Just needs to learn a little bit more upstairs, and I think he'll be a really good addition to Alberta racing if he could just keep his stuff together and keep doing what he's doing right now. So it's tough right now. It's the same as BC's got really struggling for drivers. Alberta, like, we have some good drivers, but we don't have a lot of them. We don't have a lot of choices, right?
So you wouldn't have anything like PEI do a fantastic job with the matinee driving program to bring up some of their young drivers. Does Alberta or anything do anything?
No, we don't have anything like that. These are the things we need to work on and stuff. We don't have a lot of young people in the business out here, and it's a little bit scary, actually. We
really?
Almost need to funnel some in or something. Yeah, no, there's not a lot of young people here, my man, and they're all, there's a lot of people between 30 and 40 kind of deal, but there's not a lot of young people under that.
Okay, that's interesting.
Yep. And a lot of the older people, it's majority of racing in Alberta now is probably crowd between 30 and 40. There's a few of the trainers around that are above that have been around since I was a kid, but they're fading out.
Yeah. So
it's unfortunate. We have a great purse structure out here and stuff. And
yeah, you do.
we have built our horse population up quite well. So I'm excited to see what happens this year when all the 3-year-olds come out. And we have a horse population incentive that we put together, HRA put together out here, and they're paying people like up to $5,000 to bring horses from out of province here.
Oh, wow.
We went over a cap this year. I had to go get an extra 50,000 from HRA. I think we got something like 19 brood mares and I want to say 11 race. I don't know. It was a lot. We got a bunch of new horses in. So we're trying to bring racing back to Alberta, but it kind of backed off the last few years. So we got new people on the board, new people in power that have a total different way of looking at things, and we're hoping that they're going to do good things for us.
No, that's great news. All right. Well, listen, Brandon, thanks very much for joining us. I know we've had a little difficulty the last 2 or 3 days hooking up, but
yeah, I apologize for that. You know what? Honest to God,
okay.
When I was putting the time zones in and thinking in my head, I don't know, it must have been a long day or something. I was putting you guys in the middle of the Pacific Ocean, for Christ's sake. Like, instead of going, when you guys said 4:30, I don't know. You guys said 7:30. I'm like, oh, great. That's 9:30 my time. I'll have time for a nap.
No worries.
All right. Well, thanks you guys for having me on. I appreciate it, and best of luck with it.
Thank you very much.
All right. You guys have a great day.
Yeah, you too. So thanks very much for Brandon Campbell, our special guest tonight. And again, a big thank you to our sponsor, 12 Company Fire and Command, for their sponsorship. And this has been episode number 17. And some of our upcoming guests, we have Brady Sweet, Ben Hollingsworth, Amber Campbell, and Kenny Murphy among the guests coming up on Behind the Gate with Scott and Kate. So thanks again for joining us. And we'll see you next time. I'm Scott Waddell and co-host Caitlin Wesley. And again, a big thanks to our special guest, Brandon Campbell.